Welcome to Manga Experts. We are back with another top 10 list. Today, we have a special collab video with another awesome YouTuber, Roro. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to check out Roro's channel. Link will be in the description below. Now Roro, over to you.
Hey guys, my name is Roro. I'm sure a lot of you haven't heard of me, but I like to do videos on a lot of different manga, manhwa, and anime that I feel are underappreciated. But without any further ado, let's get this video started. Number 10, The World After the Fall. The World After the Fall is a pretty popular series, however I couldn't resist the opportunity to talk about it. This manhwa starts out as a dystopian action kind of story, with towers filled with monsters appearing all around the world, laying waste to society. Special people called Tower Walkers were summoned into the towers and given a chance to clear out the towers of monsters, thus saving all of humanity that was being decimated outside. At first, this seems like a pretty cliche manhwa, albeit with some amazing art and visuals to back it up. However, there's more to this story than meets the eye. A couple chapters into this series, the world opens up due to some of the main characters' actions, revealing the reasons behind a lot of the stuff that's been happening in the opening. This plot twist is super effective and interesting, so I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but needless to say, it flips the entire story on its head. The world that we thought we knew is shown in a completely new light, and our main character is forced to deal with forces that seem out of his control. As I said, this series also has some of the best manhwa art I've ever seen, with each panel overflowing with action and beauty, drawing you into the story amazingly.
Number 9, A Post-Apocalyptic Journey. The story of this post-apocalyptic wasteland is filled with depravity. In this manhwa, we follow the journey of a smuggler. He's a ruthless and bloodthirsty man who's widely regarded as a monster due to his demonic blood, as he ventures and smuggles goods in order to survive a world where only the fittest survive. The story of this manhwa is aggressive, chaotic, fast-paced, and action-packed to the brim. It never shies away from showing the brutalities of an apocalyptic world. The art of this manhwa is really lit and ruthless at the start, and the fight scenes really pack a punch. But the art downgrades a little bit after chapter 80, but it's still readable. There are minor plot holes in it, but they don't matter that much in the big scheme of things. The main character is a wannabe Alucard, which is also a plus. This manhwa is only recommended for people who can stomach really dark stories.
Number 8, Slave B. Slave B is a pretty interesting manhwa, not just in terms of its fantasy aspects, but in terms of its characters as well. While its world is a bit standard and basic, being slightly reminiscent of a lot of other fantasy series, it more than makes up for this with its top-tier writing and character work. Each and every individual has depth and emotion, and this combined with the fast pace of the story makes this an addicting read. The main character, Nero, feels like a real person who often makes mistakes. However, he always learns from them and tries to improve moving forward, which makes him a fun character to watch. His progression through the series is fun as well. The growth he goes through is tangible and gives the readers a sense of advancement. To add to that, the art for the series is amazing as well. It's slightly cartoonish at times, however, it really accentuates the dark and depressing places the story sometimes goes to. Aside from the occasional missteps with the story, this is an amazing series that I highly recommend you check out.
Number 7, Blade of the Phantom Master. Long ago, there were royal inspectors in a country called Jushin. They disguised themselves as shabby travelers and passed through big and small towns. The duty of these inspectors was to find corrupt officials and punish them. But Jushin has fallen. The world is corrupt and no one answers the cry for help from the suffering people anymore. However, one royal inspector remains roaming the lands and punishing the evil lords. This webtoon has already an anime and a manga adaptation, which are quite famous. The main character of this webtoon has a very cool personality, plus he's overpowered from the start. Its story is good and the pacing of the plot is also perfect, but it's not recommended for people with weak hearts because things can become a little bit dark sometimes.
Number 6, The Dungeon Master. This series is pretty slow to start out. At first it seems like a pretty simple reincarnation plot, with the main character dying and being brought back to another world. However, when he's reincarnated, he's turned into a brick eater, a lowly creature whose job is to produce bricks until they die. The first few chapters where the main character, Ju Yoon, is stuck in the brick eater's body are pretty slow. However, as soon as he gets an upgrade, the story starts to pick up a bit, and the world and characters start developing in very interesting ways. There's no morality in this new world that Ju Yoon has reincarnated into, forcing him into some pretty tough situations to try and hold himself to a higher standard than those around him. The latter half of this manhwa gets extremely interesting because of the amount of passive world building that's been going on, making you truly get immersed in the story. However, the path to get there is a bit rough, but I would still recommend you give this series a shot. The art for it is another big reason why I love it so much, as it has such a unique and gorgeous style that captures the intense and nightmarish new world of the underground that Ju Yun finds himself in.
Number 5. Lessa. Every night, humans were attacked by assailants that looked like demons. They were brutal and loved absorbing human souls. As their population increased, it was revealed that they were once humans, and they were given the name D-Man, which is derived from both demon and man. The government failed to control the tyranny of these demons, and more human lives were lost. Demons only had one weakness: they were weak to sunlight just like vampires. So the government built the Sunlight City just for a chosen population, which was later known as Hexagon Field. The story of this webtoon starts off just like a generic vampires versus humans struggle, but later on it develops further into a mythological tale of gods and angels. There are two main characters. One is an edgy demon hunter who is searching for his sister, while the other one is an immortal who has just awoken after sleeping for hundreds of years. It's an old webtoon from 2014, so the art is not up to today's standards, but once you start reading it, the art will grow on you in no time. Overall, it's a top-notch modern fantasy webtoon recommended for everyone.
Number 4. Soul Cartel. Soul Cartel is an extremely long fantasy series that has already been concluded, so it's perfect if you want something to binge. The story is one where devils and angels exist, hidden in a world separate from our own. The main character, Si-hun, is an exorcist in training, somebody who's supposed to take spirits from the living realm and return them to the world of the dead. However, on one occasion, he finds himself face to face with Mephistopheles, a devil who is supposed to be trapped in hell. The pair of them, along with some other characters, then venture into the world of hell to find secrets about the troubles brewing there, and the mysterious disappearance of Si-hun's parents years ago. The world of hell that is presented in this story is so colorful and unique that it just begs you to learn more and more about it. To add to that, all the characters in the story are really fun and have a great dynamic with each other. I particularly love the friendship that blooms between the unlikely duo of Si-hun and Mephisto, who have great chemistry and are really fun to watch interact with each other. Near the start, the story feels a bit pointless, however soon enough the plot kicks it into high gear and fills you with adrenaline and intrigue. The art for the series is nothing to write home about, however it is still very appealing.
Number 3. The First Hunter. One day, the world perished, and a group of monsters emerged to control the whole world. A small portion of the population discovered special powers that helped them fight these monsters. Tae-hun Kim stands out above all hunters. He has experience as a special forces soldier, which makes him a deadly hunter of both humans and non-human enemies. But when a magical artifact prophesizes Tae-hun's death several years in the future, he must fight to change his fate, and the fate of the world. The main character is a worn and torn war veteran. He's mature, calm, collective, and totally badass. The side characters have less character development, but that's not a big issue with this webtoon. The art is realistic and looks a little bit rough at the start, but it grows on you after some chapters. The world building is really good, and nothing seems out of place. It's a completed webtoon and its ending is quite satisfying, so that's also a plus.
Number 2. Burning Effect. Burning Effect is not only one of my favorite fantasy manhwa of all time, it is just one of my favorite manhwa of all time, period. The story follows Burner, a hot-headed young woman who's just trying to thrive in a world where everything seems to be against her. The city of Greymark that she lives in is deemed that any person who commits any crime, no matter how harmless, can be punished by death if deemed necessary by the administrator of each city block. The block that Burner finds herself in, Block 5, is ruled by a particularly bloodthirsty administrator who hunts down and kills anybody who commits a crime of any severity. Burner, through a series of circumstances, ends up joining a group of rebels who disagree with the ideology of the administrators and elders of Greymark and seek to overthrow their rule. The ideological struggle of both sides is very heartfelt, as neither side believes they are wrong and both have reasons for acting the way that they do. Each character is so interesting and has such an amazing backstory that so much of the fun of the story comes from finding out about the different circumstances that everyone was forced into. The world of Greymark and its surrounding landscape is so laden with history and intrigue, all of which gets explored later in the series. Finally, the art for the series is genuinely incredible. It has some of the most unique and gorgeous illustrations you can ever find, and every aspect of this series lives up to the amazing standards that the art sets.
Number 1. Leviathan. Over a century ago, a comet struck the Earth, causing the sea level to rise and engulf the continents one by one. What's left of mankind now lives aboard ships that float on the endless ocean, and beneath the surface, giant bloodthirsty sea creatures lurk waiting to devour the flesh of divers that breach the surface. Bota and Lita are two young siblings that live aboard a scavenger vessel with their father, who tells the pair about legendary harpoonists who protected humanity from the monsters. And when tragedy strikes, one such harpoonist, Kana, takes them under her wing. But nothing can prepare Bota and Lita for the horrors that are to come. The story of this manhwa is really good, and the pacing of the plot is also perfect. The main characters of this manhwa start off weak and become strong after a lot of character development. The side characters are also very memorable. The world building is well crafted. The art is also good, and it shines the most during fight scenes. This is easily one of the best post-apocalyptic manhwa, and a must-read for fans of the apocalyptic genre.
Hope you guys enjoyed these recommendations, and let us know in the comments if you have any other fantasy manhwa you think are underrated. Thanks so much for Manga Experts for doing this collab with me, and if you're interested, check out my channel in the description, but not before subscribing to Manga Experts.